have no idea what Puck is doing right now. Jim asking where he is. These guys can see each other's cameras, but I think Puck is just hunched over. I don't even know what's happening right now, but I'm okay with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 7 North American show match series, not just America. Jim here, of course, represents Mexico. Puck is, of course, from America. Let's see these two tussle. Where is Puck right now? I imagine he's hunched over pretty hardcore, just being a bit of a goofball. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, spotting here in the lower left corner of the map for the 3rd time today, we have another IVT member from IVD Gaming, the Red Protoss player Puck. And his opponent in the upper right, from Chaos Latin Gamers. Ooh, look at those slick-looking sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the barcode, the Blue Zerg, JimRising. Now, of course, like I said, Puck's a player you guys should be pretty well acquainted with. Is he really going to keep up this shtick for the entire game? Is he going to... is he going to actually try and play the entire game hunched over like this? That's gonna take a lot of effort is what that's going to take. Now, anyways, as far as going to this series goes, Puck, I can't help it. You've seen him before. He's between these two. He's the name you should recognize. He's been in WCS Premier League. I believe he's still in WCS Premier League this season, if I'm not mistaken. And he's had some really good games outside of WCS as well. I've had the pleasure of casting him for multiple events, but he's one of 2 players. I want to throw this out there. He's one of 2 players only in existence to have ever won a North American Zotac Cup in Heart of the Swarm. It's been since closed, and there's no more chances to do it. But with players like Polt and Hyun typically farming those cups week to week, back to back, Puck and Suppy are the only 2 players from North America to have ever won an actual cup versus other Koreans as well. So big props to Puck before we even jump too far into this. But JimRising hasn't quite had the same level of success. He's not exactly the most popular player. He's not the first person you think of when it comes to StarCraft 2 Zerg. That being said, he has got some of my favorite styles to watch. He's like the guy who loves mutiling still when no one else does. He's the one who'll make weird strategies work even though they shouldn't. He got pretty far in the qualifiers for WCS America this season as well. We had the luck of catching him a couple times, but JimRising was doing these like Zergling-less, Banling-less, Mutalisk-only builds versus Terran, and as you guys could probably guess, those didn't turn out too well for him. But, you know, he knew he was playing against Puck. I don't know if Puck necessarily went out of his way to study up on JimRising, but I know JimRising, if he did his homework, would have seen that we did actually have a show match with Puck before in the past, guys. If you missed it, we had Puck versus Bly, and Puck actually lost that series pretty one-sidedly. Not to detract away from him, but that's just because Bly's a really good player, and we'll see if that ends up being the same case. So on one hand, we're hoping JimRising can kind of make a name for himself here and impress you all with some playstyle and be the only Zerg player to actually win something today. But on the other, Puck has kind of got this, I wouldn't say chip on his shoulder, but this need to win a base trade show match series because he lost the last one. And Puck is back. Hurrah! I still don't know what's going on with that, and I'll have to ask him later if what the deal with that is. Anyways, for now though, a couple links came across the map for JimRising. It's gonna be a little bit, I don't know, difficult to see that there's no forge down. It's kind of one of those things where like you wish you had gone with a lot of lings, you wish you had been a little bit more aggressive. I want to give a small nod to both of these players as well, just while we're opening up. Both of them do stream a lot. Puck, of course, streams just about every night if you have the luck of catching him. He's actually pretty fun to watch. JimRising, his stream's not exactly as English-friendly as Puck's is, but it's still an entertaining show nonetheless. Before we got into the series, I kind of commented on his camera too. He treats it like a radio show. He's got like awesome weird sound effects. They're kind of corny but awesome at the same time. And while I don't understand a lick of, oh god, this is going to be so ignorant, Spanish, Mexican, whatever they speak down there, it's still entertaining enough to watch because he's got a really high-quality stream. Anyways, as far as this game's shaping up, though, this is an older map, Derelict Watcher, we haven't seen in a long time, and Puck's going to play it safe. He's got the Stargate opener coming up, he's got the wall set up here at the front, too, so, I mean, he's pretty good as far as progressing goes, and I think he left the extra space here intentionally. There was a player a long time ago, Trend, okay, never mind, he's actually going to silence that up. But Trend, a Protoss player from Samsung Galaxy, would also leave an extra hole in his wall because he couldn't get Archons out later on. And looks like the Overlord is going to get popped off here, sadly, so goodbye. Unless your core was driven back home while this was happening as well. The front of the base has kind of got this weird wall off coming out of JimRising, but it's not one that's really meant to Super Sim City. It's just kind of a nice choke if he needs it. But Puck is going to open Phoenixes, and I kind of discussed this during Arium's match earlier today. It seems like a lot of North American players who are stuck in this North American meta of the game do go for those Oracles, but I do like Phoenixes every single time. Now, coming across the map with this, Puck's already got a pylon down, and some queens are actually going to be on the retreat right off the bat. JimRising now making 20 Zerglings. This is a pretty decent response to this, actually, because Puck doesn't have any sentries, and while the Phoenixes are great and can't be touched, they don't have the energy to lift up 40, 20, 30 lings. But coming down here to the rescue of that queen. Oh, for everyone getting upset. It was a joke. It was a joke. I know Mexicans not like. It's like when I call Norwegian people Norwegia. It's a joke. Get over it. And if anyone's actually offended by that, please go ahead and send me an email so I can share it with my friends and make fun of you for getting upset over absolutely nothing. Anyways, we got air weapon upgrades coming out of Puck as well, so he's looking to really invest into this more going through the game. Lings coming across the map, though, what are they going to slam into here but a wall? So, well, there's not a sentry. Okay, there's actually a sentry now. These are also not going to be able to kill this wall in any due time, because there's actually stalkers behind it. There might not be the cannon, but there's actual DPS and units here to defend. Now, the air upgrades are what I find quite curious. The Phoenix Opener itself is not bad. I actually, like I said, I rather enjoy the Phoenix Opener, but as far as investing in air as the follow-up, you typically don't do this unless you're really going to dedicate. And Puck hasn't thrown down the second Stargate yet. He hasn't thrown down any additional air tech. He may be waiting until he can secure a third to do that, but in the meantime, he's stuck with a Phoenix to try and do a bit of harass. And Jim's actually done a pretty good job of covering his bases at the moment. There's Spore Crawlers, there's Queens, and, well, there's some drones exposed. It's not going to be the entire mineral line that goes down. Oh, that's awkward. He catches a couple drones on the, That's kind of a cool move, actually. It seemed like a bit silly, but those are drones that would have otherwise been protected by the Spore Crawlers, so catching them out in the middle of the map actually makes it a little bit, I guess, not middle of the map, middle of the bases, more effective ways of killing them. Anyways, 3 Queens will drive these back, the Spore Crawler is being repositioned. The problem with Spore Crawlers, though, is their DPS isn't the fastest in the world, so they can't really shut down a Phoenix outright. Oftentimes, you could actually soak up a whole Graviton Beam, kill a Queen in the back way before the Phoenix dies, and just come back later when your shields regen. But looking to get some Queen kills here now. He does not, again, have a lot of anti-air here, which is unfortunate, and this one Queen will go down. But this is a big tell for JimRising as well. Puck is spending a lot of energy picking up drones, picking up Queens. He knows there's not a follow-up attack behind this. And even an Overlord tier might go down here. But typically, if you see a Protoss player invest in Phoenixes earlier like this, and they don't pick up your drones, they don't harass you, that's when you have to get really worried. That's when you get really scared. That's when you know there's another attack coming. So coming across the map, well, gonna try and secure his third right now is Puck. JimRising, though, finds that there's only a cell. It wasn't on hold position, so he actually slips past everything. While Puck is screwing around on the other side of the map with these Phoenixes, he actually has his main compromised. But a good warp in here at the top of the ramp will keep this from getting too out of hand. There is a cannon down, but this is so many Zerglings, and there's no sentries warped in at home. Everything was at that third. Everything was defending that base. And Puck, okay, he is actually cleaning this up. He recalled units. A really slick move there. I mean, it's kind of hard to justify going for a recall, but when you realize that big of a mistake, that much of a gaffe just happened, it's definitely worth the investment. Now, despite the fact that he did go for the level 1 weapon upgrades on the air, he's not really investing too much more behind that. I mean, I like the Void Ray, but he's going for the Colossus tech. He's definitely looking to get something to shut down Hydralisks when they come, but like I said before, guys, JimRising's not a player who typically goes like Hydraling. It's more like Mutiling for this guy. And for the time being, he's getting a lot of Zerglings across the map. This third base may need to be canceled. He's going to get this round. I canceled the cannon. Or no, it's actually never been built. Sorry. Looking at the build there, looked a little bit odd, but no cancel on the Nexus. Okay, at the very last microsecond, he gets a cancel on the Nexus. All these Zerglings, however, will die. Puck's going to try and clean this up with minimal losses. I mean, the Zerglings are just not going to contend well with Zealous. That's the bottom line here, and the third base goes back up immediately. Now, the problem is, while JimRising going for that Spire may want to go for Mutalisks, it's certainly not going to be easy. You can go for Corrupt or Mutalisk, which in instances can work against a Zerg player or a Protoss player who's open Phoenix like this, but I don't think this is one of those situations. Not only is there already +1 weapons down for the air, it's just, I feel like, too late. Actually, it's worth noting that I think the last time when I mentioned Bly fought against Puck every single game, it was Muto Corruptor that won him that Showmatch series. I think like every single game, if I'm not misremembering that. So it's something JimRising probably, if he was really diligent about homework, could have looked up on our VODs and seen as well. But Puck saying, you know what, not gonna happen, not again. He's got control of the air, he's got control of the skies. There's a couple Corruptors coming out right now, but I mean, realistically, he's just in a bit of an awkward spot. He doesn't have a lot of army value. He threw away a lot of those Lings. So if Puck were to attack, I don't even know if Jim could hold it off, quite frankly. But the longer Puck gives him, the better chance Jim has to actually fight this out. And, yeah. For those who are unaware, just kind of while we're waiting, Puck is the guy here on the left. Jim's more over on the right. Just, it's a fun fact while we're waiting for some action to happen. But Ling's going to slip by once again. This is a really nice move. Second wall in for Puck, though. I love this second move. Because that warping at the top is the difference of him losing like 18 probes versus just possibly what's in the natural. Of course, Zealots are going to deal with these Zerglings with no issue. Jim gets a decent surround on one, but there's too many others, and the cannon gets replaced pretty much immediately. Even the Colossus pops out just in the time to defend this, and this is looking really good for Puck, bottom line. It has been for a while. Jim is making 44 more Lings behind this, but now that Colossus are out, Lings aren't really going to be what you want to have. You can use Lings effectively against Colossus before we completely shut those down, but that's only when there's no buffer for them. There's not even that many force fields, but there's enough. Colossus here is running for its life. Zealots, they actually can't two-shot the Lings anymore thanks to those level 2 armor upgrades coming out of JimRising. But again, it's those Colossus are just nasty. The Corruptors are actually getting quite a bit done here as he drives us back, and if he still has 44 Lings behind this, it's a little bit different. But throwing down 2 Stargates, Puck is not going to be sticking that Colossus deck. He's going to be investing in Void Rays, and if you're pumping 3 Void Rays at a time, those Corruptors are bound to melt. But Jim, I can't believe it, still has this 4th base up, hasn't really been able to do much with it due to the constant harass and danger present in the map. Warp Prism is coming back towards here in the 3rd, and where are those Corruptors at? Alright, they're heading there to take care of it. So finally might be able to get rid of this Warp Prism threat that's currently going on. A couple Zerglings are going to get on top of these Zealots. And it looks like this attack is not going to be devastating, but it will get quite a bit of damage done, that's for certain. Yeah, everything getting cleaned up here. Oh, my side tones are dying on me. I'll have to fix that afterwards. Audio. Anyways, we got the Mutalisk now coming out, and Mutalisk Corruptor as the transition is a bit of an oddball thing to see, especially when you consider the fact that Puck does have 3 Stargates down, guys. Now, we take a quick look at the production, or the tech lab here, the tech, whatever, the upgrade stab, and there's no Anion Pulse Crystals in sight. I don't believe he's got a fleet beacon down yet, if I'm not mistaken. So, right now, Puck may be really focused on those Corruptors, not having seen a single Mutalisk out, and well, now they've been revealed thanks to that observer. But I was going to say, the kind of question is like, who goes into Mutalisks after having this many Phoenix revealed? There's still about 5 on the map, and it's not hard to make 3 at a time to deal with this. But one of the key things with Phoenixes are, again, those Anion Pulse Crystal upgrades. Now, there's a couple cannons here at the 3rd, but this is really not a lot, and I think the Mutalisks could actually focus these down pretty quickly. JimRising, on the other hand, you know what? For all the resources lost and the attacks that have failed, he's actually been able to do... I'm surprised the resources losses are so even, is kind of what I'm hinting at here. He's going to actually drive all the probes off this 3rd. I don't know if Puck can necessarily defend this. I kind of feel like he could try and focus this down and use the Corruptors to buy himself a little more time, but he can't afford to lose these Mutalisks. And the Overcharge will chase these back. But good job holding on to these. He clears out the cannons. He can get back for round 2 a little bit later if he wants. Lings get a nice surround here on the 4th. The cannon and the Zealots will eventually kill these, but not before he gets the Nexus. Big cancel goes down. And that's a huge line of cannons coming out, actually. JimRising, I think, with more Lings flooding in here, is going to definitely try to make sure this base does not go up. More cannons, though, are completing, and unfortunately, these Lings are still in full swing. Milo's ducking back to the 3rd while this is happening, and Puck is in a bit of a bind. He can't really go to defend this base, and his cannons were meant to do the job of the army. Not quite going to happen. I like the DTs, though. There's no detection down here. These Zerglings will get cleaned up. So they kill the cannons, but they're not going to get the base. Towards the north, we got JimRising still expanding while this is happening. It's some creep spread that I haven't really drawn attention to, is still pushing through the middle of the map. But Anion Pulse Crystals is finally on the way, and again, this air battle, this tango between these two is going to be not the most fun thing in the world to deal with, but Puck has got the Stargate production to deal with this. A lot of the times when this sort of tech swap happens, when this transition goes down, a Protoss player doesn't have the sufficient production to keep up with the amount that Larva can produce. However, that's not going to be the case here. Puck again, he's got production necessary for this. 4th base will be shut down, though, and this is got to be a little bit frustrating for somebody who's trying so desperately to expand, but this is, again, one of those drawbacks of Derelict Watcher. We saw a lot of Protoss players would get to 3 bases comfortably, but that 4th one was just always out of reach. There's 29 probes here. He probably needs to transfer a little bit out of the natural. Not a big deal. Some Zealots and some Dark Templar are making their way across the map, though, and 2-2 Lings simply aren't going to cut it. Not against DTs and not against Zealots. But a Spinecrawler, that's going to buy a little bit of time. The main army, though, pushing in here towards Jim's 3rd. There's a lot of Spinecrawlers and Spore Crawlers that are meant to pick off units that warp in, but that's not going to be the case because the Warp Prism isn't the threat. And can Jim fight this army head on? I kind of think the answer is yes, if he can catch Puck a little out of position, but these drones are rushing to their deaths while they auto-mine! Jim's saying, screw it, I'm going to go for the base trade, and while that's not a bad option, and Zerg players have had a lot of success with base trades in the past, Puck just goes for the big recall. Once again, the double-layered warp-ins, and these Zerglings get absolutely annihilated on the retreats. But it goes for the 3rd while this is happening. It's worth noting, Puck's pretty much mined out of his natural. If he can kill this 3rd base, this will put him in a very good way. Even though he lost 2 bases while this was happening, if he can stop Puck's economy, he will be able to prevail with his units just due to the way Zerg regen, the way Zerg can engage and disengage, and how much cheaper rather Zerglings are to produce than, say, Zealots, for example. So as both of these players have not a lot of economy to fall back to, oh no! Puck's got 3 Phoenixes getting caught in the middle of the map. Good snipe there out of JimRising. These were actually really critical as he continues to move forward in the game. Again, you've got Anium Pulse Crystals, you've got 8 Phoenixes, but you've got to still chew through 27 Mutalisks, and let's not forget the 12 Corruptors that are coming out behind this. And again, more importantly than that, we got constant Lings underneath this, which means the Stalkers can't free fire, the Colossus can't ignore what's going on. They have to stop to actually shoot and fight. And even the Queen's looking like they're about to get ready in this engagement. I gotta think if handled correctly, JimRising should be able to take this fight. There's really not a lot of Phoenix here, and he focuses them down. The Void Rays get involved with the Prismatic Alignment on top of the Mutalisk, not on top of the Corruptors, so the Corruptors are free to just fire away behind this. But as we see, the Mutalisk count is dwindling and fast, down to 10, down to 11, down to 7. And, well, the Corruptors might eventually clean up the Colossus. More Lings will deal with Archons, more Lings will deal with the Stalkers. There's not a lot of pushing power left in Puck right now. But he's going to do what he can before he goes down, and the few Zealots left don't have a lot of Zerglings to oppose them. If JimRising was on Hive Tech right now, if this was 3-3 melee and Adrenal Glands, these Zerglings would wreck face. But unfortunately, he's been struggling a lot with 2-2. That being said, Puck is not going to easily replace his army. GG, in fact, is going to be called, having no bases behind this. Ladies and gentlemen, JimRising will take game number 1 in this best of 7 series.